Hey folks, how are we keeping? Welcome to this week's episode of the Wipe My Own Ass podcast. So called because I want to be running over mountains and wiping my own ass till the day I die. I sound like I'm out of breath. I just literally walked from behind the camera. It is first thing in the morning, I suppose, just coming up on 6 a.m. there now. I actually recorded this podcast yesterday, edited the whole thing, and I corrupted the file some way along the way. My own fault. So I lost all of that, which is an absolute disaster. But here we are again this morning. So thanks everyone for listening in, or for anyone that's watching. I'm recording this now. I'm going to post it up on YouTube. But if you are on Spotify, you can actually watch it on Spotify now as well. And if you would go onto YouTube, please, if you're on it, and give me a follow on it. And I would appreciate that, because I'm going to start posting more on YouTube now. I want to start doing... excuse me, my voice sounds all weird. I want to start doing more day in the life stuff, some longer form content, following me on long runs, what I'm eating pre-run, post-run. The kind of stuff you don't get to do or document on short form, because no one really, short form is all fast hooks and fast edits and all that type of thing to keep people's attention. I'd like to do some more longer form stuff, kind of share more about what I'm doing. So in today's episode, before I get into it, actually, I want to thank, there's a client of mine there who was doing check-ins during the week, and a client of mine, Shannon, was telling me, breaking down her week, she's doing really well. She's implementing and adopting all these habits and really, really good. And she was telling me that herself and her partner watch the podcast all the time, or listen back to all the earlier ones and right through them all. And they were loving them, getting great value from them. And I have to say, every time someone tells me they listen to the podcast, I don't quite believe it. It's still a shock to the system. I never think that anybody's going to be listening to these on the other end. And when I get good feedback like that, it really is incredible. It really is. To know that people are getting value from them. And that kind of gave me a kick in the hole then this week. Because my goal was to start posting again from New Year, get an episode out a week. And we're now, January 17, and I haven't posted one yet. So this is my first one. So that's another lesson, I suppose, right there, that I like to say to people, is that just because you haven't started so far doesn't mean you can't start now. Just because you might have failed in the past doesn't mean that you shouldn't try now. That no matter how many times you've messed up, I was going to say effed up there when I'm trying to curb my language a bit, but it doesn't matter how many times you've messed up, failed in the past, tried, failed, said you're going to do something, didn't do it. It really doesn't matter what has happened before. It does not have to affect what you do today and what actually happens moving forwards. You get to decide that. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm going to get a podcast out today. I'm just going to record this through. I'm just going to stop overthinking it, because that's what I was doing. I was overthinking it, trying to overthinking the episodes, thinking that there was so much work involved, you have to plan them, you have to prep them. And I don't know, when Shannon said that this week, it kind of just gave me a kick up the hole to just listen, get a grip. You actually have stuff of value that help people. So and I enjoy doing it as well. I do. So thank you, Shannon. And what I'm going to talk about now in this episode, and I actually get over my hump a little bit. So before I would map all these out on a computer, I would write them out. And I would have the computer set up there behind, just with some bullet points and some stuff I want to say. And I'm trying to just simplify this as much as possible. A big goal of mine this year is to simplify my life, and I will talk about that in a second. So what I have, I just wrote down on a notebook here what I want to do, what I want to say today. Just all the bullet points, so I'm not just waffling on for half an hour, like I'm kind of doing now actually in the intro. I'm a bit waffling now a bit. But so you'll see me kind of refer to this. I might actually just keep it out here off to the side, just so I don't get lost when I'm going through all the points and everything I want to cover today. So what I want to talk about today are just habits that I'm adopting this year. And they're kind of random habits. They're not just fitness habits. They're all really habits that are aligned to my goals. And I suppose in order for you to understand why I'm adopting these habits, you have to understand what my actual goals are, because not all goals are good and bad. They're not good or bad. Some good habits for me could be terrible habits for someone else. I'm training for an ultra marathon at the minute. So going out training 5, 6, 7 times a week is a necessary habit for me. It would be a really, really stupid habit if you're just getting into running or you're just on your fitness journey. And that goes for all habits. Not all habits are bad, not all habits are good, and some are good for me, bad for you, and vice versa. So I suppose I should tell you first why I'm adopting the habits and then why you should actually care. So I break down my goals. If you're a client of mine listening to this, I put out a video before Christmas on goal setting. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. And I like to break down broad goals. So what I want to be doing, I put down broad goals, we'll say 5 years from now. And with 5-year goals, they have to be they can't be too specific. I used to get lost in the weeds with that. I would try and set goals for, people would tell me set 5-year goals, and I always hated it, because I'd try and be like, right, what do I want to do in 5 years? And I'm like, I don't even know what I want to be doing in 5 days, never mind 5 years. But just broad goals to aim towards. You have to have something in the distance. And that could be something like a whole new career change, a whole new area code, you know what I mean? You have to kind of look at your life now and say, right, what am I not happy about currently, and where would I like to be? And then you make big mad goals for the future, and then I work back from there. So 5-year, 3-year, 1 year, then I set 90-day goals, and then I set a how-to, right, what do I need to do with this week to move me towards the 90-day goal. So I'll just talk about this year a little bit. And I always say like that your goals really, or the lifestyle you want, will determine the goals. So you look at yourself 12 months ago and say, right, what kind of life do I want to be living? Okay, this is where I want to be working. This is what I want to do with my family. These are the people I want to be hanging out with. This is what I want my life to look like day to day. Okay, that determines my goals then. Obviously, my goals have to get me towards that lifestyle. And I'll name out a few things I kind of want to be doing this year, and then the goals then will be attached to, the habits, will be focused on getting me kind of towards those goals. And I haven't picked all the habits, and just a few. Some are random, no particular order. Some you'll find interesting, some you might not. So some of the things I want this year, right? Fitness goals. If you're following my page, you know I'm doing some ultramarathons again this year. I've got one in Scotland in May, one in Wales in July, and then one in England in September. They're 110 kilometres each. It's part of a series, Ultra X series, and I'm training towards those. The one in May now is about maybe 13 or 14 weeks away. And before that, I have the Larry Mullins. I've kept calling it the Willie Mullins, the horse trainer guy. We've that one in March, and that'll be on the build-up towards, that's a 50k in March. So I've got some, they're my kind of health goals this year. I have some family goals, so I'll be getting married this year. We will be looking to start a family at some stage this year. And I have some goals in and around that. We want to start some habits at the minute, some rituals and routines that will help us that'll help us family-wise down the line. So I'll speak a little bit about that. A big goal of mine this year is to get more offline. I find that the more connected I've become, and I think people will relate to this, that the more connected we become on social media, online communities, the more followers I get, the more I post online, and the more I get involved in that world. So the more connected I am in that world, the more disconnected I am from everything else, from myself, from friends, family, actual community. I might only see, because I work from home, I might only see Katie really most of the week. I have interactions with people when I'm out and about going to the cafe. I see my parents a little bit, but other than that, I don't really see a lot of people. And I think that isolation is a big thing in today's world. I think we're becoming more and more isolated, and that's something I want to fix for myself. That's something I really want to work on. Do some more in-person stuff, in-person hikes, meetups. I've got a big thing planned, a new business this year planned. It's a physical business, so an in-person business. It's health related. It's not a gym. I wasn't sure if I'm going to talk about it yet, but you know what, I will. I'll talk about it. I'll mention it there at the end. I'll bring it up there at the end of the episode. That's what I'll do. It's going to be huge, absolutely massive. I can't wait for it. Something I've wanted to do for a long, long time, and it's going to be more. It's geared towards getting myself offline. I've spoke before on my socials about my phone addiction. I have a very, very bad phone addiction, glued to the fucking thing. And I've got a bunch of habits here I'm going to talk about as well that are helping me wean me off that. I've been a little bit on and off successful since the new year. I do well some days, I do really crap other days. Phone really has been a grip. And like my current business is online, you see, I have to post stories. I have to, if I'm going to be a good influence in the world and help people and all the rest of it, I have to have a presence online, or else I just, if you want to help people, you have to go where they are. It's all well and good just chucking your phone in the bin and getting yourself offline and secluding yourself. But how are you supposed to help anybody when everybody's online? You have to go where the people are if you're going to spread a good message and be a good influence. So I'll speak about that at the end. And, something else I want to be as well, a big goal of mine is I just want to be a positive influence on the world, which involves my coaching work. So being a good coach, helping people, spreading a good message, and really online it's about helping people who have been burned in the past and are not really sure what to do. One of the biggest feedback I get from, done a lot of calls lately with people, and the biggest feedback I get is probably people saying that there's so much information out there now, they're drowning in it. They don't know which way to go, what to do, who to believe. It's all conflicting, and that is the thing with the online space. We're in the age of information now. Back in the day they said when Google came along that this would be it. Now everybody would be informed, it'd be a great new world. But I think the more information we have out there, the more uninformed we are now. I think people believe in all sorts of crazy shit. Like flat earth theory has just gone even more off. It's even got more popular. Things like that, conspiracy theories, all that kind of thing. I think the more information we have, the more confused we are. But I'm talking, of course, around the fitness space. I'm just going off on a bit of a tangent there about conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But one thing as well about being a positive influence is, something I just want to say, right, is if you ever have a coach and if they've ever bullied you, berated you, shouted at you, told you you're useless, told you you just don't care and don't want it enough and you'll never, ever, ever be successful, you're always going to be fat or unfit or anything like that, that is absolutely insane, right? Insane. That's not how this coaching business works. I think people have an idea that's what it is. And I bring this up because I've had calls like this before. I have a couple of current clients working with me a long time now who were treated that way before. And I've had a few calls recently again from people. And I hear that, they say, look, I'm really apprehensive about reaching out. I had a coach a couple of years ago and it was a really, really horrible experience. And I've just been scarred from that ever since. And it's just absolutely disgraceful. That's not what coaching is. It's not shouting at people. I think people have this idea, especially with PTs, people always make a joke of me going, oh, I can't wait now, go easy on me kind of thing when they sign up. And I say to them, I'm not that kind of coach. Ask any client of mine, present or past. I don't do the shouting thing. I don't berate people. I just think it's unnecessary. I think we're all adults here. You treat people how you want to be treated. Yes, you have to push people. You have to pull them up if they're using excuses, if they're falling into bad patterns and behaviours. That's what you're paid for. You can't pander to people. At the end of the day, they are paying you for a result, but you cannot treat people that way. And that's what I like to do with my coaching. I want it to be a positive experience. I think that if you just shout at people and break people and try and use that negative psychology against them, that there's no coming back from that when they do fall down again. If you try and pull someone up by the bootstraps by telling them, by crossing that line, that when they then fall down again, there's kind of no coming back from that, and it tends to turn ugly as well and get a bit nasty. But some coaches out there are an absolute disgrace. The problem with it is that there's very little barrier to entry. You can go do a PT course now for, I don't know how much they are now, not that expensive. You can do a couple of nights a week and then set up. You don't even have to do a PT course. You can just set up a social media account and start putting out content and tell people you're a coach because you like going to the gym 4 times a week, and you got there eating no food and starving yourself and hating yourself, really bad habits and mindset, and then you go out and you just push that onto people as well. But look, bit of a side tangent there, but I'm just hearing it too much. I had 2 more calls this week of people who were just scarred from the coaching process. That's not what it is. A coach is someone who's in your corner, has your back. That's what I am. And yeah, I don't know, it's just absolutely disgraceful. So being a positive influence is obviously a big goal of mine over the year. So those are just some of the things that I want that are outcomes for me. I have financial goals, I have business goals. I'm not going to break those down exactly in this video. But really the big things are, I want more social connection this year, get more offline, disconnect to reconnect. That's really what I want to do. I want to disconnect to reconnect. It's a big goal of mine, and my new business venture will take me down that route. And for any clients that are listening or anyone that's interested in coaching, that's not going to change. I will be keeping my business. I love the coaching business. I have it at a way now where I can do both. I'll just keep my coaching business at the current level it's at, not try and push it too high. I really enjoy it where it's at now, so that won't change. I have family goals, health goals, and a big thing for me this year, guys, I should have said actually a big thing overall is that I want my life to slow down. I'm really trying to practice slow living. I'm trying to simplify my life is a big thing. I would say the biggest thing I'm trying to do this year is simplify my life. And what I mean by that is I'm just trying to enjoy life a bit more. I want to still have the same ambitions and the same goals, and I want to live life to the full, but I just want to have fun. I really want to have more fun. If you've listened to previous podcasts, I spoke about burnout in the past, where I've just gone, where I've had to stop doing this, and that how, for me, I overthink everything. Every decision I make, I think about it 10 different ways because I want to pick the decision that has the best outcome. And I think there's a bit of a control freak in there. Something I've been kind of thinking about the last couple of weeks. I'm probably a bit of a control freak, expecting and wanting everything to work out the best possible way, which is insane. Like if you think about it that way, you're going to drive yourself crazy. I want things and people to almost act to my expectations. If you know what I mean, it's a bit mad, and that just tends to lead to burnout and not having much fun. And I overcomplicate everything. And even now with this, I was writing out ways to simplify my life there over Christmas. End of last year, I experienced this burnout. I got sick of everything, social media, the whole lot. And again, I was writing out these big mad plans on how I'm going to simplify my life. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you're doing it again, like getting a bit mad with everything. So that's a big thing for me this year. I want more of a peaceful mind. That's really my big goal moving forward. So if I can adopt and implement habits to make that happen, that's really the ultimate goal. And wanting a simple life and a slow life, slow living, it's not a case of just switching off and going with the flow. Going with the flow There's a balance to it, because if you just switch off and not plan anything and just go, oh look, I'm just going to take things as they come, that, in my opinion, is really a stupid way to go about it. When you go that way, you're then just a prisoner to everything that happens around you. The mood you wake up on in a given morning, what people want you to do, what work want you to do. You know, if you don't plan your own life, you will be assigned one, essentially. So, you still need to be intentional, and that's the word I like to use. I'm trying to be less rigid, trying to be less rigid and less definite on everything and how I want things to work. All right, for anyone that's watching, the screen there's doing something weird. I'm using a new camera that I bought, that Katie actually got me, an action camera there for Christmas. So I'm afraid that it's not recording right, and because of what happened yesterday. So I just had to screen went a bit dark there with that. Anyways, I'm just trying to be more intentional with life. Okay, I'll get into it. Jesus, I went on there. Right, so one of the things that's big for me, right, if I'm going to have a positive influence on the world and I'm going to have a positive impact and I'm going to help people, and I'm also going to support my family with my businesses and everything else moving forward, I need to be a good communicator. This is a massive thing for me. Communication was one of the biggest things I've improved on over the years. When I joined the army back in 2011, people asked me, are you not scared shitless of going abroad, going to all these hostile environments and things like that? And you know what my biggest fear was when I was signing up for the army? First of all, I had loads of insecurities because I was skinny and unfit, and I'd never done anything like that in my life, and I thought these guys were going to be all absolute units, and I wouldn't be able to tie their shoelaces. But my biggest fear going into basic training, or actually applying for the army, was you had to do an icebreaker. You had to pass all these physical tests, and I was getting physical, so I was getting fitter, and I was like, I could do this. But you had to do an icebreaker, a 10-minute talk where you get up in front of a crowd and you talk about yourself for 10 minutes. That scared the absolute daylights out of me. Literally, I would be shaking even thinking about it, and I had to do that a bunch of times going through the process. The first time I got up, it was a room with like 8 people. I was physically shaking. Like you could notice it if you were in the audience. So communication for me has always been a big thing. Public speaking, they say, is the biggest fear in the world for human beings, even a bigger fear than death. Public speaking is one, dying is number 2. So communication is always, it's such a huge thing. And a couple of things I'm trying to do, and this mightn't be, like, some of these things won't be interesting to you, they won't be applicable to you, but I'm trying to improve my ums and ahs, which I've done a lot already at the start of this video. I've gotten more comfortable talking to camera. I'm a lot better at that now. When I made my first Instagram reel here inside in the gym alongside me here, I made a 30-second reel, and it took me 4 hours to record the reel. I was that bad. I literally couldn't talk to a camera. 4 hours to record it, not even edit it. It was a 30-second video, and I was trying to get it all out in one go, memorize the whole thing. I didn't know there was like jump cuts and edits. I didn't know any of that stuff. It took me 4 hours to get 30 seconds out, which can show you how far I can come now. I'm 23 minutes into this and I'm waffling away. So with communication, a couple of things I'm trying to do is pausing more. So I'm doing a communication course, I started it last year. And they say that the reason why we do ums and ahs is because we're always trying to fill the silences. We're afraid of stopping for a second or two and letting our brain catch up to our mouth. So we go, in between the words. So that's something I'm trying to get rid of at the minute. If you're a client of mine, I might have spoken to you about voice notes. So I leave a lot of voice notes to clients because I could be messaging 20, 30 more people in a given day, and it's just quick to get my point across. So I'm trying to keep those down. Before I could go on for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, which is unfair to people listening. So I'm trying to get more concise in my communication and trying to get my messages across much better. So I'm keeping those to under 60 seconds as best I can, besides check-ins and stuff like that. They take obviously longer when my clients are checking in and I'm giving them feedback, and I've asked my clients to do the same as well. So again, it's something to improve my communication. I mean, I'm 25 minutes into this now nearly, and I could have done this in half the time again. So it needs a lot of work. And another thing I'm trying to do So I got the pausing, voice notes, and then when I'm out and about in groups of people as well and speaking, I'm trying to get better at just saying nothing if I have nothing good to say. And I don't mean now like chatting one-to-one with someone in small talk. That's not a bad thing, but something just more of when I'm out and about. If you've got nothing good to say or nothing valuable to contribute, don't just feel like you need to say stuff just to be saying stuff. That's something I can be guilty of, especially if I'm in a group of people where I'm trying to impress maybe. Depending who I'm around, maybe I'm trying to impress them with something I know or something I did, and I say something and I just come off badly, I feel, when I think about it afterwards. So something I'm trying to get better at as well is that, look, if you have nothing good or valuable to say, it's okay just to say nothing. Another habit I'm adopting this year, and I will get into the food and diet and training stuff in a second, but in a bid for a more peaceful mind and a quieter and simpler life, I'm trying to get rid of physical clutter. So for me, physical clutter becomes mental clutter. If I walk into a room and there's stuff around the place and it's constantly there, in my bedroom, stuff like that, it's constantly there, it takes up my mind. And I can feel it in my brain. And I do love the idea of minimalism, something I thought about the last few years. I really wanted to start doing. And it's something I've started doing this year. So I've started with my bedroom and my clothes. I've actually given away my wardrobe space, the final bit. I built this big, massive double wardrobe when I moved into this house here. And then Katie moved in, I gave her half of it, and she's now taken the lot. The Americans, they're not content with Greenland. They're taking my wardrobes now as well. So I gave her my wardrobe. I've actually just put mine now in a little hole in the wall. We have a little hole in the wall cupboard. It's there for years over in the other side of the bedroom. And if my stuff can't fit in there, I don't need it. I don't get it, basically. I've gotten rid of half my clothes. I've stopped buying stuff. I got rid of half my clothes that I don't wear. You're going to see me now in videos and content wearing a lot of the same stuff because that's what I want to do. If I could have like 2 pantses, a few t-shirts, enough underwear and socks for a week, so 7 days each of those, a couple of jackets and whatever else, I'd just be happy out with that. I'm trying to stop consuming and buying stuff I don't need. And again, that's just to free up the mental clutter in my head. So that's something that I'm trying to do this year. Just be more of a minimalist. And this ties into that simpler, slower, peaceful lifestyle that I'm trying to adopt. Food diet. So I've spoke about food diets before and my 6 principles around dieting. I've done an episode on these before. At the minute I'm training for an ultramarathon, but my principles never change around food. I just adopt them slightly depending on what I'm doing. But there's 80-20 diet. So 80% of your diet, single ingredient foods, whole nutrient dense foods, 20% the foods you think you shouldn't have. I'm going out to Roots tonight for pizza, stuff like that. I have a treat every evening, bit of ice cream and chocolate there. We have that. The low-calorie ice cream with some chocolate in there. That's the 20% stuff. Protein with every diet, or with every meal, if it doesn't have at least 20 to 30 grams of protein in it, it doesn't get eaten. The biggest one of all that will help, that I think will solve the obesity crisis we have in today's society, would be eliminating calories in between meals. So no matter what you do, you get up in the day, you know the day before, tomorrow I'm at work, so my schedule will look like this. I have breakfast at 8, I have lunch at 1, I have dinner at 5, I do not eat a single calorie, no coffee, no treats, no nothing in between those meals, like our grandparents did. That right there. We are surrounded by calories in today's society. If you're just picking and taking bits here and doing bits here and you've no real ground rules around your diet, you are goosed. It's impossible. You're only human. You have to have some control measures. You wouldn't go into work on a Monday morning and you behave in how you feel. There's no SOPs. You don't do things a certain way. There's no organization. Nothing like that. Everybody rocks in a Monday morning. If they've had a good weekend, they work well that day and they have a pep in their step. Things didn't go well that day, they just do whatever they want. Can you imagine doing that in a business? It would collapse. It wouldn't last very long, would it? That's essentially, we are far more complicated than a business. Life is far more complicated than a business. We have to have some SOPs in place. And I feel that one there, it would be an unbelievable place for most people to start. You will feel like a crack addict in between if you just start this, because your body's not used to it yet, your hunger hormones. You know, in the evening time, you'll be climbing the walls before bed, 8, half 8, if you're used to having that snack because you're hungry. Trust me on this. If you ignore that hunger, have a glass of water or whatever around that half 8, 9 o'clock mark, you will not die from starvation overnight. Go to bed hungry, fall asleep, you will wake up. You might die overnight, I don't know, but it won't be from hunger, it won't be from food. Trust me on that one. And over about 2-3 weeks, your body will get used to that. It'll know, right, we're not getting that anymore, and it'll be used to the new way. The other stuff I do is eating at similar times every day, great for your hormone health and also for structuring your day. So I normally eat at 8, 1 and 5. Sometimes it's a little different given on the day, but it's 3 meals around those times. My body knows it. And then I eat similar foods every day. Again, keeps it nice and simple. When I track my clients' food diaries, if I can go in and look at their diary on my computer and I'll know from looking at the food, I go, oh, yeah, that's that client there, that's that there. That person will do well because it's continuity, it's routine, it's repeatable. If I go in and there's different foods every day, it's like it could be 7 different people on 7 different days. I'll know that person is grabbing on the go and it's working right now because they're new and they're motivated and they're right on the program and everything else. They're keen. But when things get difficult, when family gets in the way, when work gets in the way, when stress gets in the way, when tiredness gets in the way, when hunger gets in the way, all that's going to fall apart. That will not last because it's just not sustainable. So eating similar foods at similar times, not eating in between meals, high protein, good nutrient dense foods most of the time. If you can do that, you will never have to diet again for your life. If you can adopt those slowly over time, you will never struggle. And that took me years to implement those. Took years. The not eating between meals thing came back in 2017 because I was in Afghanistan and we could only eat at 3 times a day and there was no food on the base outside of those meal times. That's how I started adopting that one. And when I did it, I was like, holy crap, I literally have no problem here. I got lean as hell after that. And I've pretty much kept that leanness ever since, because of these simple rules. And the last one that I struggle with the most, I've added this because it's what I'm working on at the minute, is having your food, eating till you're 75%, 80% gone on your plate, getting up then, stopping yourself from eating, right, 20% left, get up, wash the dishes, drink some water, go about the house, keep yourself busy, occupied for 5-10 minutes, and then come back. If you're still hungry, finish off the plate. 9 times out of 10, you won't be hungry because your hunger hormones have kicked in and you're satisfied now. Usually what happens is that we eat too quickly. I scoff it down. We're actually full 10 minutes ago and we're still eating. I'm struggling with this one. I horse my food down and I find it hard to stop. I'm really enjoying it. That's what I'm working on now. It really does help. When I do it, I'm like, happy days, let's do it again. That one I struggle with. That's some stuff I'm doing with food so I can be healthy this year. The ultramarathon stuff was a lot different. I'm not going to get into that now in this episode. Another thing with diet we often don't think about is our information diet. So what are we taking on in our heads that's influencing our life? For me, the phone is a massive one. I have a minimalist app that I've downloaded now. And the great thing about this minimalist app is that it's better than all the other ones. Firstly, I paid 30 quid for it for the year. Normally they're free. I find the ones that you buy are better. And this one, when you go into your socials, it tells you, it prompts you. So 1, 5, 10, 15 minutes, how long do you want to spend in it? So I hit 5 minutes if I'm going posting some stories and stuff. And then when I'm actually getting distracted and I'm flicking through someone else's stories, or I'm in reels, flicking reels, it spits you back out and it'll ask you, do you want to stay in or do you want to get out? And you can't answer stay in for like a minute. A little dial goes around. So you have to sit there for a minute if you want to stay in. You know what I mean? You're just sitting there going, come on, if you want to stay in, then you have to hit the 5 minutes. So by then it's breaking the cycle. It's knocked you out of that little daze you were in, when you're scrolling. I found that massively helpful. Really, really helpful. And with that as well, first 60 minutes of the day, last 60 minutes of the day, try not to be on the phone. The first 60 minutes of the day is huge. I can tell you it's massive, because if you turn over in the bed, pick up the phone and you jump online straight away, you're immediately being influenced by the outside world. You don't give yourself a second to even think about how you feel, what you want to do that day, what your intentions are, what's wrong, what's right, nothing. You're immediately, boom, influenced. And influence is good or bad. I can jump on there and I'll open it up and some fella's after doing a 100k challenge across a mountain or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that, and I'm signing up to a race that I've only just heard about. You know what I mean? Why am I signing up to that race? Is that something that's intrinsically important to me, or is it just something just even simple things like that? But a lot of the times it can be negative. You're looking at people, you open it up and someone's posting a picture on the beach, and now you have to go out in the fucking rain and go to work. Just stuff like that, and it gives you a skewed view of what the world is actually like. And the phone here, I kind of knock on the phone a lot, but the phone here is probably one of the best inventions ever. Probably one of the best inventions ever, but if used right, and we're using it for the wrong stuff. Like I said earlier, we're more confused than ever now in this world. We've got all the information on the planet at our fingertips, and we're more confused than ever because we use it for the wrong thing. I think it's more of a negative than it is a positive for most people. So first and last 60 minutes of the day, try to not be on the phone. I'll speak about my morning routine now in a second, and what I could like to do there to kind of set myself up for the day and actually influence my own life. And then with the phone as well inside in the house, a landline. So I use my phone like a landline. This has worked on and off. It's epic when I do it well. Some days I forget. But basically I have a charger plugged in alongside the kitchen sink in an area where it's awkward. I can't sit down and get in people's way. And I can only use the phone in the house when I basically come into the house, plug it into the charger, and it sits there. So if I want to go over and use the phone, I have to get up, go over, use it, and then if I'm going to stay on it, I have to stand up next to the sink and stay on it. So I'm not just on the couch getting zonked. An hour or two is gone. And this is why it's bad for me, guys, with the phone. I go on and it's all short form content, absolute brain rot, chewing gum for the brain. I just go in, and I find when I get into that habit, I have no thoughts. I struggle to make any content. I struggle to have decent conversations. I struggle with my writing. I struggle with my reading. It's just I have nothing inside me when I go through phases like that with the phone. It's just not. It just, and then when I'm on the opposite, it's unbelievable. I'm so creative. It's unbelievable. I'm coming up with ideas I didn't even know I had. Stuff I want to do. Linking stuff together. It's just everything works so much easier. I can write stuff down in a shot. I can create stuff like this, no problem whatsoever. When I'm in my phone funk, I cannot create podcasts. I cannot write out scripts, anything like that. I can't do any of that stuff. So the landline in the house, treating my phone like a landline. Something else as well to protect my peace is the news. I stopped watching the news. I watch business and I watch local because that's what's I can directly influence. It's important to remember that the news is content. That's all it is. They make content to get views, likes, and impressions, the same like every other gimp on these platforms, like me and all the rest of them on here, posting. That's what the news is. At the minute, Donald Trump and Greenland and Iran and all that stuff is getting all the views and the attention, so they're pushing on more. They're checking the metrics, checking the insights. Let's keep doing that. That's good. Every now and again, they will push out a Putin is getting itchy nuke fingers with Ukraine. And when that doesn't do so well, they'll look at that and go, ooh, people aren't really biting at that one. Okay, let's pull that one back for a little bit. Let's push this one out. Let's see if that one gets attention. That's what the news is. And it influences all of us then thinking that the world is more screwed than ever, that the world's about to end, people are horrible, and that it's the worst time to be alive. But then you get your head out of your phone, out of the news, you go outside, people are generally lovely, your interactions are good, you don't see people getting stabbed, murdered, beaten up, or anything like that on the streets. Very, very rarely will you see that with your own two eyeballs in this lifetime. yet we're aware of all of it happening. What's the point of RTE News telling us here that 32 people, school children, were killed in a landslide over in Guatemala on their way to school? What is the purpose of telling us that here? Can we actually help them? Can we influence it in any way? Can we take details from that landslide and implement it here in Ireland, in Middleton, County Cork? Can I do anything here to protect the school children in County Cork because I've learned lessons from a landslide over in Guatemala? Or how a village has just been attacked and taken out somewhere halfway around the world as well. What are we supposed to do with that? The world there's always been bad stuff happening around the world, always, since the dawn of time. Every generation has believed that their generation is the worst. Always. From the hippies up onwards and well before that. Every generation has thought the world has been the worst it's ever been. The problem we have today is that we're just so inundated with everything. Something happens, you hear about it 5 minutes later. It's either in your WhatsApp group with the lads, some crazy shit is coming up on your phone, or else it's on the mainstream news as well. And then we believe that the world is just screwed. And it's no good for you. Yeah. I stopped watching the news a long time ago. People say, you need to be informed. You have to be informed. Yeah, about local stuff, roadworks, stuff that's happening down the town, things that are I can directly influence, I can have an impact on if I'm not happy about it. Business, because again, I have a business, I will have a second business. That impacts me, my family, my friends, my community. But I can't do anything about the other stuff. We don't hear anything about Palestine and Ukraine anymore. Are Palestine, is that all fixed now? No, it's because they're not getting the same views. Content's not doing so well. Let's switch it up. It's like the fitness influencers changing from recipe videos to reaction videos to workout videos, because some do well at some points and some don't. So the news is something that I stop watching. Go out today with your own eyes, take in the views, take in the sights, listen to people. It's not as bad as they make out. With people then, like I say, another couple of habits I'm trying to adopt this year is I'm trying to avoid energy vampires, negative people that when I leave them I feel worse for it. That's something I'm doing this year. Another habit I'm adopting with that is avoiding negative conversations. Again, it falls in line with that. I don't like when people, these days, if I'm chatting with someone and they start talking negative about someone else, I will just come right out and say, look, to be honest, bud, if we're not going to say this in the person, I don't really want to talk about it. It just makes me feel absolutely icky all over. Yeah, so, and it's very easy to fall into too. Gossiping is a human trait. It comes easy to us and it's easy to fall into that. If you read the book, I read the book Sapiens about 3 or 4 years ago now by Naval Harari. No, that's a different author. I'm getting two authors mixed up. Anyway, he's got a mad Jewish name, and he speaks about that, how that's one thing humans did to kind of get us from small tribes to big tribes and out past primates with gossiping. Something that connects us as humans. So just something that we're very easy to fall into, but something I'm trying to get out of. I'm gone up now to 44 minutes. Way too long. My apologies. So I'll try and cut a few of these and try and get through it. But habits in the morning, right? So planning, like I said, I go 5 year, 3 year, and then I've kind of 90-day goals at the minute. So I will get up every Saturday. So with the 90-day goals, every Saturday I map out my week. Right? What can I do this week to get me close to my 90-day goals, get me close to my yearly goals? I will sit down on a Saturday, map out all the big stuff, and then I have a Word document written out Monday, Tuesday, and all the main movers and little things and stuff like that. And then what I'll do is before each day I'll sit down and I'll have a sticky note and write down the stuff I want to do. So on Sunday night I go, right, this is what I'm doing Monday morning. I have a blocks. I have my morning primer, which I'll talk about in a sec. I have block 1, block 2, block 3, and then just stuff I want to get done in between that. I'm not rigid and religious on this. I don't get caught up in to-do lists like this. It has to be all done or it's a failure. You won't get everything done. There's a great book, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, and he speaks, about productivity and the way we have it backwards and a new approach to it, and how with to-do lists that a to-do list never ends. If you get through your to-do list quicker than you expected, you just add more stuff to it. If you finish off your daily tasks by 3 o'clock in the day, you're going to go, oh, what can I do now for, I can get ahead of tomorrow's stuff, and it just never, ever, ever ends. So that's not something I'm religious on, but I write it down and I tick it off. The ticking off thing really works. It's so simple. I used to have fancy apps before, but the ticking off thing is like, it gives you little dopamine hits. We're all children at the end of the day, with our gold stars. We like getting our gold stars, don't we? So we ticking that off is kind of nice, and that's something that I do with planning, and it's all aimed towards my yearly goals, which I spoke about earlier. Something I mentioned there about a morning primer. I was reading a book recently, Tim Ferriss's Tools of Titans, and he was interviewing Tony Robbins in that, and he has a morning primer, he calls it, and essentially it's spending the first part of the day priming yourself for the day. Things like not looking at your phone help towards that. And it's just getting up and making sure that you're looked after so you can look after everybody else. If you spend all your time running around after everyone else, which is quite normal, by the way, not a bad thing, quite common, and quite natural to do it, to fall into that way. But if you run around looking after everybody else, doing everything else for everybody else and neglecting yourself, who's going to be around to look after them when you're gone? You're not going to be around too long to look after everybody else if you're in a shit heap. You need to look after yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, so you can show up as your best self for everyone else in your life. So that's why I have that morning primer. I find if I don't exercise in the morning or do these things in the morning, they won't get done the rest of the day. I'll get pulled from pillar to post, I'll have no energy, and it just doesn't get done. So that's why I do it myself first thing. It doesn't matter what time I get up or what I do exactly, it's whatever works for you. If it's 10 minutes, a half an hour, do what works for you. I normally get up now around 5:30. It used to be 5. I get up at 5:30 now. I find it better. I train first thing. That could be running, lifting, mobility, stretching, anything around those lines. I'll usually train for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I then have hot cold therapy. So I'll have either an ice bath, or if I'm not doing an ice bath that morning, I'll do a shower, ice shower, that kind of thing. I find it's incredible for the morning. And then I will just shower, get changed. I journal for a bit, just 1 page, get your thoughts out, nothing fancy. I find it great because you can kind of catch yourself falling into old habits. You write something down the day before that you want to do, and then you look back at it the next day and you go, oh, I completely forgot about that. Oh, right, brilliant. Yeah. And you know what I mean? It's just really great. And then I look at my plan for the day. So that's my morning primer, and that gets me going for the day. And all these habits, like I said, are in the beginning, are aimed towards just a more peaceful life is what I'm looking for. Family, health, wealth, wisdom, being a positive influence in the world, building social connection. One thing with the family unit as well we're doing is we're starting to get back to doing Sunday dinners. So that's something we said we'd do in New Year every Sunday. This year I'm doing bacon and cabbage. Invite my parents up, sit around, chill out, slow down a bit, have a dinner as a family, and really start getting into that kind of thing as well. Something that'll serve us well moving forwards. And the beauty with that as well is that we'll have loads of leftovers for food the next couple of days as well. So that's a 2-for-1 there. And those are some habits I'm adopting. And basically with habits is we are essentially our habits. Good or bad, that's who we are. What we act on daily, what we do, ultimately will determine our life. And if we don't plan out our own life, it will be planned for us by somebody else. If you don't have a plan for your life, you will be assigned one. As simple as that. By work, by family, by your emotions, how you feel in a given day, what's happening in the world, news. It's just crazy. You have to start adopting habits that suit your life. Figure out what you want your lifestyle to be, what you want to be doing day to day, who are you with, what are you doing, where are you living, what conversations are you having, what are you reading, where are you traveling. That's your life. Now you got to adopt goals that get you to that life, and you got to adopt habits to achieve the goals. That's the way I like to break it down, in my head anyway. 50 minutes, crazy. Anyone that's listened this long, listen to this, fair play to you. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, I really do appreciate it so much. I spoke there about a business I'm starting there in this year, and it's something I've been doing last year, something I took up, kind of a hobby that I don't really post much about, that's really helped me to reconnect, to disconnect, to reconnect, like I spoke about earlier. And I started, so I've been doing cold plunges, you've seen that in my social media, and I started then going to sauna places, so sauna, cold plunges, and I have found those for my health, physical and mental, to just be unbelievable. I cannot believe there's more of these places, that we're not doing it more. I think these are the replacement for the pub. I think that the pubs, we've all come out of the pubs in this country, no one really goes anymore, and that we're missing that social connection. There's a gap. There's something we're all missing here. We went inside our houses at COVID and never came back out. And really, we haven't still come back out from our houses and that mindset from COVID. And for me, what's helped massively has been sauna, cold plunges, the hot cold therapy, unbelievable. And so this year I'm actually opening my own sauna and cold plunge facility, my own wellness space, which is going to be unbelievable. A friend of mine is building his own, starting a new, he already has a cafe and restaurant. It doesn't do it justice calling it that. It's going to be one of the best cafe restaurants you'll see. The whole setup, what's involved, just crazy, right? And he wanted to do a sauna cold plunge with it. Couldn't too much work for himself, approached me about it. The location is epic. It's, I'll reveal the location. I'll be revealing all this on my socials anyway soon. I don't know how much I should or want to say so far, but the location, it's out the back of the cafe restaurant. It goes right back onto a big car park, onto a beach. I've ordered a big sauna. I got all the cold plunges. We've got fire pits, benches, seating, changing rooms, the whole lot. It's going to be unbelievable, and I cannot wait. It not only is sauna cold plunge fantastic for your physical and mental health, but getting people together. I want to build a community around this, get more people outside, get more people talking, meeting up. I think the biggest lie we tell ourselves today is that, I always say this, like, I don't really want to see people now today. I just want to be with myself. Some days that's good, but I think we've got too much of that in today's society. And I think it's a big reason why a lot of us find ourselves in burnt out, lonely, miserable states in today's society. Anyway, that's my new business venture, hoping to open in March. I'll be revealing more of it. I'm going to start probably posting about it very, very soon. And that's what it is. Sauna, cold plunges. And I'll be running my fitness business alongside of it. I think the two should mesh quite nicely too, a little bit. But don't worry, if you just want to go and relax and chill out, you won't be bombarded with my brand of fitness and everything in my lifestyle. It's going to be pretty epic. Anyway, 53 minutes. How can someone go on a camera and talk for 53 minutes? Listen, thank you very much for listening in. If you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify, please go on to YouTube and give me a follow, subscribe. I would really appreciate that, and like the video. YouTube is insane to try and get people to watch stuff on it, or to try and get your stuff out there. I have the setting up here and everything. Look, you can see in the background I got my fancy light. I was told that light gives you depth to the scene, so I put a fancy light back there. I've got a light off here at the 45 degree, it creates the shadows. The framing is crap. I didn't really do any framing here. I've got the bike in the background. I thought it might look a little bit interesting, but anyways, I appreciate every single one of you for watching and listening in. Shannon and Becky, if you're listening to this or watching this, I really, really appreciate the two of you, and thank you for bringing that up as well during the check-in during the week. It kind of gave me a kick in the arse this week to get back at this. And everybody else who listens in, I can't tell you how much it means. Thank you. And those are just some habits I'm adopting this year. I hope that actually made sense and I didn't just ramble on for 55 minutes. And if any of you ever want to hear anything about ultramarathons, lifestyle, anything I covered there, you know what my goals are for this year. If you want to know any more on any of that stuff, you want me to cover it, please let me know. Thank you for watching.